Hey everybody, welcome to Straight Up Talk Boston. It's Billy Pizzullo, Johnny Peasy, and Joey Canzano, and we got a special guest tonight. It is Johnny Bart. Say hello, everybody.
Hello.
Can I talk now? Is it okay?
Yeah,
It's
you
okay.
can talk
See
now.
how they yell at me, John? I got
Voice restriction. That's it.
Before we start, thank you, John, for being here. Appreciate it.
My
I know you
pleasure.
got a pretty busy schedule for the last. I see you're all over the place. Where'd you just come from just now?
I was just in Columbia.
Okay, and then somewhere else before that.
I was in Washington, D.C. with Sean O'Brien. We were doing Better Bad Ideas, the podcast. I'm an equity partner in that podcast. And I also did a Ken Rideout show.
How do I know it?
Ken Rideout's a marathon runner. He is a guy that actually got sober. His claim to fame is that he started running marathons. He liked them. He started winning them. He did a run in Mongolia that was, listen to this, 20 miles a day, and on every other day it was 50 miles a day. You, with a backpack, anything that, no matter what I do in life now, if I'm carrying 2 bags of groceries, I got to put them down. No.
Running or walking? Was he?
Running.
Come on.
And he won.
How old? How much?
And he won. It was like 200 miles a week for the whole week.
And how old of a guy is he?
He's just like 55.
Okay.
Amazing.
It's not young.
Amazing.
That is incredible.
Amazing.
But before we get to your story, Johnny, which is fascinating, Johnny has to aggravate me a little bit before we start.
Yes, I am going to aggravate
And he's going to
you.
spring up something regarding the...
Okay, we will. All right, so I just want to go a little bit of a little update. So we had a great fundraiser at Rosario's. We raised close to $6,000. Thanks to Billy and Joey for the hard work that they did, and Family Affair, who are absolutely fantastic.
Shout out.
With this thing. Fantastic.
It was a great turnout, great vibe. We were tired at the end of the night, Billy, but it was a home run.
It was worth it.
It was
Every
well worth
bit
it,
of
for a great cause, autism.
The Doug Flutie Foundation,
Yes,
which was
it
great. Yeah.
Absolutely. It was packed. It was really, people just couldn't get off the dance floor. Am I right, Bill?
That's correct.
It was a
Absolutely.
blast. Too bad you missed it, John.
Well, I'm sorry. I had a show in Andover at the Temple Emmanuel. I had a lineup of comedians. I had Tom Carter from America's Got Talent, Brian Kiley, who was Conan O'Brien's writer
yep.
for 27 years. He's done Letterman 5 times. I mean, he's just an amazing talent. But I want to touch upon something. Now, Johnny, you got these 2 guys here. I love them both, but they're idiots.
Listen, every
All
time
right.
you say, like when you preface something by, listen, you're the smartest guy in the world, you're going to tell somebody how stupid they are in the next sentence, right? When you say you love these guys, now you're going to tell us how much you hate them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bingo.
All
Thank
right,
you,
so,
Johnny.
So we have this long-running debate. Billy and Joey believe that the Apollo 1969 mission to the moon was planned. It did not happen.
Total fake.
Okay, see, did you hear that, folks? Total fake.
No question about it.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. There's so much evidence that they did land on the moon. They brought back cheese.
That's what I was going to say. They had to have brought back cheese.
400,000 people working with NASA. How do they keep a secret like that? Number one. Number 2, if you have a high-powered telescope at home, you could actually see the equipment on the moon. Okay? So tell me about that, Joe.
I'd like to check your equipment because something's not right up there. If you think that was real, there's something wrong with you.
You!
John, do you think? What do you think on that?
So, I mean, I've just started seeing a lot of this stuff about it, and I try not to jump to conclusions really about anything. I try to just, take a look at it, and I look at both sides of the story, and I often thought of this, is that if we were in competition with Russia at the time, right,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So, and if they knew something of that magnitude was out of whack, and they would have exposed the lie. So it's hard for me to believe that it was a hoax, but when you look at it, it's almost like it was pure Hollywood. It looks like pure Hollywood to me.
And they did. They had who was the director? Stanley Kubrick.
Kubrick.
Yeah.
He's the one that supposedly admitted that he did it.
No, he's full of.
John, let me
he's
ask
full
you a
of
question.
baloney.
I'm going to ask you a question
But let me
without being
just say,
derogatory.
he made such a great point
Well,
that
yeah.
I've never heard about China. He's so
You
right.
know, it's
Russia.
Russia.
I mean,
Billy, we're not
he
live.
makes-
I don't see anything on live. I'm sorry. on your page. Just wanted to just say
It's
that.
live.
All right, good,
He
Johnny.
made such a great point that
Yes, he did.
That if Russia thought it was a hoax, they would have said it because we were racing to the moon.
That
Who's
was
gonna
the
be
race,
the first
sure.
one? Because they always said whoever controlled the moon.
That was a great point, John. You just ruined me now. My
Hey,
my
well,
Well,
there
it's
you go.
not that, but I try to look at both sides, right?
You're
so
right.
I just try to have an independent yet I'm pretty intelligent conclusion about it. But I've seen a lot of stuff, and I mean, I look at movies now, right? Like say History of the World. That was a hilarious movie with Mel Brooks, right? And I look and I'm like, it looks like a.
There's also cameras. Again,
What, they set him up there earlier before they landed?
They have the technology.
What technology?
But I'm saying it was freezing cold or boiling hot. Those cameras, well, you can go take a Nikon up there and go.
Thank you.
No,
Tough.
Wow.
Johnny, there was
Tough.
there was a lot of there was a tin foil. It was made of tin foil and
Looked like
aluminum.
it. Looked like
and,
it.
And that, no, it's a fact. I read, and it said, how could this
All right.
toy go through the stratosphere as it did? It's impossible.
Have you ever
Johnny.
heard of Carrot Top?
Yes.
Okay, Carrot Top's been a fixture in Las Vegas. You ever hear of Carrot
Sure, of
Top?
course.
Yeah. Okay. His father helped design those Land Rovers that they used on the moon. His father.
His father. Okay.
Yeah.
So
All right.
what does that mean to me? That doesn't mean they landed on the moon. That could have been for a fucking desert. Oops, excuse me.
Joe. Oh, there you go.
All right,
Joe,
all right.
there
Go.
you
I
go.
just slipped.
So I think you
In the
can
first
you
5
can
minutes,
aggravate me.
you can debate about those things until like almost you're blue in the
But,
face.
the,
I
but
know.
the thing is,
So-
Joey, the point is this. Okay, people that have high-powered telescopes that could look, they could see the equipment. That is still there.
This is 1969, Johnny. The
Yeah, what
birth
about
control
it?
pill wasn't even out yet.
Thank God.
Oh, you think you're a comedian? Did you ever see
think
Johnny's act?
I think he does think he is.
Did
one.
you-
Now that he said it and you mentioned his name,
He's been around for about,
that's
what,
why
50
it does,
years?
Yeah.
That's why it does
60.
ring a bell.
Yeah, he's been a fixture at Giggles for many, many years. But
And they
no,
said he was funny. I said he looks good to me. I mean
he is one of the
But
best.
looks ain't everything.
I've worked with all the comedians, and he's definitely one of my favorites. But anyways, before we get on to John's story, one last time, Johnny, as usual, you're wrong. So let's move on.
Okay.
Anyways,
that.
Johnny, what
we
you
can
grew up in
agree
East.
to disagree.
Absolutely. He's a pain in the balls, this kid. Anyways, you grew up in East Boston. What was the street you said?
I lived on the corner of Utah and Marion. It's
Yep.
one block down from the high school, one block up from the Umana.
And as I watch a lot of his podcasts, and you talk a lot about your mom.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, all of us the same. But my mom, there's not a day that goes by I don't think about her. So when I hear that, I say this guy's interesting. So were you close with your mom? Is your dad still alive?
No, my father's passed away.
Okay, so you're
too.
both gone.
So it's me and my brother Charlie. My brother
I know
Charlie's
Charlie.
an accountant in Saugus, and it's me and him.
He's
now.
on my Facebook for many,
Yeah.
many years. And so, all right, tell us how it all started as a kid. Was you a fresh kid in school?
So, I had the best upbringing on planet Earth. You know what I'm saying? So usually these stories kind of start with, no guidance, no parental guidance. Not me. So I had the best family in the whole. My mother and father were great people, my best friends. I loved them. My two brothers, older brothers, protected me. They were running down Shore Plaza East, shaking kids down. You talk to my brother bad, you know what I mean? So I had like the best upbringing in the whole world. And I think that, I don't know what it was for me. I seen a lot of things, and we grew up in East Boston, right? It was kind of like a mob stronghold. You see mob people all the time there. So, but what I kind of got turned off by a little bit, not those people that were the real people. They were the real people, right? But it was the kids in my generation that we called plastic gangsters.
Yeah.
They were nobody, but they were all trying
Wannabes?
Right, exactly. So I seen that. That was kind of a turnoff to me. But I always, wanted to be, I remember I backed down from a fight in high school with a kid. And it felt so horrible to me that I made a commitment to myself that that's never going to
again.
happen again.
Never
I
again.
was like the first day of high school. And from that day on, like anything happened, I was fighting. I just made myself fight. And from that day on, I kind of wanted to prove to everybody that I was like the toughest kid in school.
Right.
I was the toughest kid around. I was the craziest kid. I brought brass knuckles into school. I mean, and really, I proved it to everybody else. And I always say I proved it to the federal government, too. They gave me 35 years for it. But I proved it to everybody else but myself. There was still sort of a void within myself. And I think that's something we all go through in adolescence. I can't speak for everybody. I can only speak for myself. But along with that, I kind of had a fear of learning. Like math scared like the crap out of me.
Math?
Math. I had anxiety about it. I didn't really think I could succeed at school. I was doing drugs during school. I was doing mescaline, smoking pot, so I was one of those kids that was, and again, not because of my being misguided by my parents. I just did that, and
You don't sound too much different than my growing up right in Beachmont, up the street from you.
I'll never ever be out of shape again. And from that day on, I worked out. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of had realizations as a kid, but I had that issue with, and I kind of backed down from a fight. I kind of lost a fight when I was a kid. Just struggles within myself, but personal struggles that everybody goes through. I mean, obviously I wasn't familiar with myself and who I was. I wasn't really conscious of who I was, but when I began to see who I was, and I was like, I'm Johnny Bart. This is my neighborhood. This is the way it's always going to be. This is the way it always was. We really just get caught in 1 second in time, because the only thing constant is change, I think. And that's what I started to do. I started to profess myself as a tough guy. I started to sell drugs, and I sold Valiums, I sold weed, and I was just a neighborhood kid that sold drugs. And I remember I got arrested. I didn't tell on nobody, and my friends came down, they bailed me out. They were like, like it was one of the scenes from Goodfellas. Oh, you broke your cherry, good, you didn't say nothing, stuff like that. But it just kind of continued to that. There was kind of an evolution of that. And I started to hang around with, my Uncle Bobby ran the Palace. We all know about the Palace. We're all here. Mm-hmm. We're going to show our age. It was 8 nightclubs. It was this huge complex.
Greatest place ever.
Ever on planet Earth. And my Uncle Bobby was the head of security there. I drove up. The valet took my car. They brought me in the... Bobby Bartolomeo. Bobby Bart.
Okay.
He ran the union down the airport, local 22 for the longest time, too. Okay. Bobby Bartolomeo. He was the head of security for Russell Robot and...
Russell Robot and Chris Scott.
Exactly.
He just died. He just
did.
Russell Robot.
Is Chris Scott still alive?
I'm not really too sure. I'm not
continue.
sure. So anyway, I had access to that, like, ad infinitum. Like, I was in the back door. People were like, who's this guy? They were waiting in line. I walk in, Johnny. So I kind of had that. And what had happened was guys from the club, Salem Hells Angels, they were having their parties there. Because it was a huge complex, and guys knew Bobby, and, they knew that I was Bobby's nephew. So, one day somebody asked me, hey, you want to be security for the event up here with the club? And I had just got a motorcycle. I said, yeah, absolutely, So that's kind of how I got, acclimated into the club, and how I got, to know a lot of the guys in the club. And then I became one of those guys in the club. So it was just, a progression. And, to me, the club was the greatest thing in the whole world. To me, it still is a great thing. I don't have nothing negative to say about it. Anything I ever wanted while I was even in prison, I always got. They paid for my education. My mother and father never missed a holiday. So you have to understand, from the outside looking in, you would say like, oh, these guys are like scary guys, or on motorcycles. You hear about violence, you hear about drugs, you hear about this. But in my house, they were just friends that used to come over and have dinner. So that's how it was. They loved my mother and father. My mother and father loved everybody in the club. So it was a thing to me, like it was just commonplace.
You know what's funny, John? It's amazing where you grew up that you didn't get involved in the other club.
Well, that's why I'm saying so. But I got turned off by that. That's what led me into motorcycles, because the plastic gangster aspect of it, and not to say anything about people that were really
the real deal,
mobbed up,
right.
And they were the real deal.
Absolutely.
But my generation wasn't,
yeah.
and they were just like,
I get it.
It's
No,
turned off.
He's absolutely right about that too.
Turned off by
There was a lot of wannabes that never cracked an egg, and
even if they did, they weren't nobody. They were like, man, trying to mimic people. So I just kind of thought that was, it was a turnoff to me.
Yeah.
So really, I mean, the crux of my story is that, at some point in time, I wanted to show everybody that I was the toughest guy in the world. I ended up killing a rival gang member, and in the middle of this killing, there was a huge drug case going on with methamphetamine, and I was the main, subject of it, one of the main subjects. And a long story, even longer, I get to court over it. I get indicted. I go on the run, and the feds are like, hey, you don't have to go on the run. Just come back and give us fingerprints and pictures. We're not going to arrest you. So I'm in New York City, and I'm like, I talked to my lawyer. I'm like, hey, what is this? He goes, listen, they gave me their word. You know what I'm saying? He goes, you can come back. You know, they know where you are. They've been sitting on you in New York City. They know where you are. They haven't arrested you.
Was you on the run in New York City?
So I wouldn't say I was on the run, but I wasn't in Massachusetts.
Right.
So, I mean, I was still hanging out with Hell's Angels in New York, you know, and I was hanging out down the Limelight. I was hanging out over here, hanging out all the strip clubs. I was hanging Chuck Zito and Scores, you know, I mean, so I'm everywhere I'm not supposed to be.
Right.
But, I mean, so I wouldn't say I'm on the run. I'm just kind of laying low, seeing what happens, right? You know, so I do go back. I give my fingerprints. They picture me, fingerprint me. They're like, all right, thanks. See you later. And I'm like, you know, they always rock you to sleep, you know. But I ended up getting indicted for it. I ended up getting indicted for cocaine, methamphetamine, and superseded, well, for the methamphetamine. And when we get to court, they're like, well, we just implemented the death penalty in Massachusetts, and we're thinking about having you as the first person for the death penalty. How do you think about that? Wow. So I was like, yeah, whatever, all right, who cares, cool, you know, but really inside I'm like, what? The death? And then I'm thinking to myself, Hell's Angels, murder. I'm saying it's like the perfect storm for a case.
Was the murder intent? Was it an accident or was it intentional?
Well,
event?
I mean, so I signed a plea agreement for it. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, we can get to that later on. Yep. But was it intentional? Yeah, I ran a guy down and killed him. Absolutely.
Oh, you drove him. You drove. Okay.
I ran. That's what I did. I ran the guy over. That's the crux of my case.
And how many years later did you get indicted for that? Was it immediately?
No. So it was like 2 years later. But you know, the process that led up to it was that, you know, there was a lot of things in the newspapers, like the Weymouth police were investigating it because it happened in Weymouth. And, you know, everybody was always saying there's a million of, you know, evidentiary issues with this case because it was my car.
Right.
There was no dispute about that. The keys were in it, but they couldn't place me behind the wheel. But then they said they had people that could place me behind the wheel. And it's a whole nother story that kind of leads up to that.
So the 2 years that you didn't get touched, did you think you got away with it?
No,
or did it sneak up on
never
you?
in a million years do I think I'm ever going to get away with it. I just think that, you know, let's see how the process plays out. I mean, at this point, I'm a kid. I'm like, if I get 2 more years, I'm saying I'm not even going to live 2 more years. I'm a reckless dude. You know what I'm saying? So let's just see what happens. We can get this time on the street is just a bonus. They ain't arresting me. Me and Gio would go to the tanning beds at like 9 o'clock on Friday night, and I'd say to him, "We got another weekend, kid. That's for sure. We got a weekend. They ain't coming on Saturday and Sunday."
But Gio's a lot younger. How old?
No, Gio's older than me. I'm
He is?
57. Gio's 58.
Oh, I didn't know he was that. I thought he was like in his 40s.
No. Gio's
I only
older
met
than
him
me.
one time.
Yeah.
A good guy. But go ahead, continue.
The absolute best.
So you got
so go ahead, John.
I wanted to ask you a question. At this point in your life, right now, did you feel invincible? I mean, is it like, you know, sometimes when you're involved in all these things?
Absolutely.
did you just,
I think it's
Ego?
part and parcel of being young as well.
Yeah, of course.
So I just thought that, you know, to answer your question, when I got arrested and was in a cell by myself, the first thing I said to myself was, how did you think this was going to end? Hold on, wait a minute. Let's sit on this cold bunk with no mattress in this orange jumpsuit. And what did you think was going to happen? You know, because, I mean, you're your own worst enemy and you're your own, you know, best advocate as well, right? We vacillate between being the best people in the whole world and the worst people in the whole world, right?
True.
And at some place in the middle lies the truth, right? That's my philosophy.
Absolutely.
Of it. And so that's the first thing I said. So to answer your question. So when we do get to court for this, right, and I do get indicted, I got indicted for drugs first, and then they were threatening me. That's my East Boston. Between every 2 and a 4 is a tree in East Boston. We know that.
I'm only a mile away.
They were
trust me.
threatening me. So they were threatening me with, you know, they were gonna, you know, prosecute me under the death penalty, and they came to me with this offer that I could take 35 years as a plea agreement, and obviously without cooperation, of course. I'm saying, to preface all that I've never ever cooperated with the government, nor would I ever. I don't call the police. You know, even in this life, I would never call. Just don't do it. Like, police are for people to call. They're great. I got a lot of friends that are police officers, but me personally, I don't call the police, nor would I.
Did you ever find out? realized that all our people in our area, even my mother, she'd be 101 years old today, they didn't believe in calling the cops. They just didn't call. It's just almost like, I don't know the reasons, but
Yeah.
they just didn't.
It's almost a sacrilege, right? Because we can handle it. You got your kids can handle it. But I'm saying
Bingo.
then as we grow up, right? You know, our friends become police officers. Our family members become police officers. Like Sean O'Brien says, cops, clergy, and criminals. That's what we got.
That's amazing.
You know what happens? It's like an embarrassment because I remember when my father-in-law was sick and he was really, and we got to call an ambulance. No, all the neighbors will know. So that was the whole
Right.
thing about calling the
Right.
cops. They
Part
don't want
of it.
anybody to know your business.
Part of it.
you know.
Part of it.
That's part of it. You're right.
Yeah, it's a
That's
good
absolutely a
point.
good
Very
point.
good point.
So go ahead.
So now I end up getting to court, and they give me this plea agreement. They say you can sign this plea agreement for 35 years. And I had people, you know, like I say, guys from the club come up to see me. And like at every step of the way, that's, you know, usually you have people here that aren't in the club anymore. I'm not in the club. I left the club, you know, on my own volition, of course, and good standing. But just not for me anymore, you know, just not what I'm into anymore right now. As an older person, got out of jail 27 years, I want to live my life. But guys from the club come up and they said to me, we'll get a lawyer. We'll fight it. We'll get the money. Don't worry about it. So at every step of the way, so, you know, a lot of people think, and I always have to preface this because, like, oh, you were in the club. They made you do this. I did stuff on my own volition. I didn't get involved in this organization so people could tell me what to do. I think that's a very big misconception. You have to do this. You have to do that. I'm not the type of guy that listens to people. You have to do that. I'm the guy that says we should do this.
Or we're doing.
Yeah. So, and you know, and if you want to, you know, and then some people are like, hey, I don't think it's a good idea. So,
Right.
I mean, you know, I did everything that I did on my own volition. I didn't bring anybody down with me. And part of my plea agreement also was, and a lot of people have a misconception about this, that I say that, you know, I didn't tell on my friends. Nobody should tell on their friends. That isn't my thing isn't that I didn't tell on my friends. No, it's not that at all. But my thing is what I did do is I signed a plea agreement, and that explicitly got people off the hook. So you weren't going to get indicted if I signed this plea agreement. You wouldn't have to come back to the grand jury. You wouldn't have to be a suspect in a crime. So everything went away for about 25 people.
So you're like a star with these
I
people.
signed the agreement, and I just said, hey, one person's enough. We don't have to have 30,000 people. You know, say 15 people in trouble. My friends don't have to come back to the grand jury and testify, because what they're going to do is if they did come back to the grand jury and say, I'm not testifying, their time stops in prison.
Well, you do know that's a rare breed, what you did.
So, but the thing is, that's just me. And a lot of people say that, oh, you know, it's this and that, but it's just me. Like, and, you know, I was about to do a lot of time in prison, and my family was always great to me. Like, they were the best family that anybody could ever have on planet Earth. I would never want you to walk by with Johnny and say, see that, that's Johnny, scumbag.
It's funny. Can I interrupt
Never,
you for
I
a
would
second?
never do that.
It's funny you interrupt for a second. It's funny he says that because my biggest, I think I told you the other day we were talking about, I have one daughter, and my biggest wish is when I'm in that box, which we're all going to be, is my daughter hears good things about me. That's all I care about, Johnny.
Never gonna happen.
Oh, shut up.
Is that the peanut gallery? No. So yeah, I you know, so but and not for any other reason, you know. So my family, I don't want to realize, you know, the mechanic. I didn't.
That-
I had a laundry list of cases with violence.
Small offense.
Well, I mean, and you know, but I will say this though, you could talk to anybody in my neighborhood, people that, you know, I grew up with. There's people today, like even like the most beautiful girls in my childhood, right? They'll see me today and they'll be like, I loved you so much. You were such a great guy. You were such a gentleman to me. I'm like, why was I a gentleman? I don't understand. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, well, hold on for a minute here. Let me get this straight. But so like people that that weren't my friends, and they were my opposition, they would, you know, but we'd have a situation.
Yeah.
But my friends, I was always just Johnny, you know,
Right,
say, hey, what's up,
right.
buddy? Hey, how you doing? How's everything? They were always like, this is the nicest dude, like, you know.
Well, it's no different than any other, like, or the mob. It's a different life.
Right.
I know a lot of guys I grew up with that went in that direction. When they see me, I bring them back to the innocence of high school, like the guy I was telling you a little while ago. it's when he sees me, it's a total different person.
Right.
How he interacts with me, and that's just so I can understand what you're saying about your friends too. Only it's a different club.
So
different club.
now what happens is I take the plea agreement, I take the 35 years, and I go to court with Judge Young, and he says this whole colloquy in court, and I go off script, and he says, if you have anything to say, you could say it now, And I went into a spiel. My paperwork is online. Everybody can read it. I used to say it was pornography for a convict, because it was just saying that, you sit behind that, in front of that flag, and you tell people that they should cooperate. They should tell on their friends. It's just not the way of the world. I said, Your Honor, if you and I were in a foxhole and the enemy was all around us, we'd either die together or get out of there together. We'd never give up the state secrets. We would never give up anything. We would die in there or we'd get out of there alive together, And he didn't like that. He told me that you have done nothing but sully the names of the people that served this country. And he had a job to do. And, in hindsight, when I look at Judge William Young's opinions and I look at the way that he wrote, the guy's a brilliant guy, right? He's a lot smarter than I was. Because when I went to prison, I don't know if you knew this. I don't know if you knew this either, but I was the smartest guy on planet Earth.
Oh,
The absolute
So you
smartest
thought.
guy on planet Earth. Until I started to learn when I got to prison and I realized how ignorant I really was. You know what I mean? So that was kind of the turning point for me, right? So, how will they say, and I always say education. I preach education. Education. Educate yourself. Educate yourself. Because I think, remember what I told you, the impetus for all this is I had a fear of learning, a fear of math, right? And then, fast forward to me in prison after being in prison for like 15 years, getting an A in pre-calculus and trigonometry, knowing what a sine and cosine is, having to look at an angle of the sun and tell
That
you
was
where.
you in prison?
Yeah. Yes. So the thing is my first basic math class, when I got an A on the test and the professor was like, you don't need basic math. Like, this is correspondence course going back and forth. I was in my cell by myself. I had the luxury of a single cell for some time, and I cried. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, like tears came to my eyes, and it was like, it was an epiphany. In other words, that I'm like, I could do this.
No, maybe you were thinking I had all this talent, and you didn't even realize it as a kid.
Yeah, and of course, I said I got the Benjamin Button effect of education. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want it when I was a kid. I hated it. It was repulsive to me. Now I got an unquenchable thirst for knowledge.
Right now.
Of course, I think we all do as we get older, right? But at this particular moment in my incarceration, I, when I first got to prison, I started to read. I started to widen my vocabulary. I started to be able to communicate on a level that I could never communicate before. And it was powerful, And then my crowning achievement in my whole life is that I taught myself Spanish and I speak it fluently.
I heard you on the videos.
So what happened with that is that, I said to myself, I learned the math. That was my biggest fear. I know that I can learn Spanish, but now it's another self-talk. Okay, Johnny, you've started a lot of things. You got a lot of books. You went halfway through some of them. Make a commitment to yourself. I'm gonna call my father. I'm gonna make him send me a couple of books. And so I was fascinated by it because this Greek kid, spoke English, of course. He was talking. We were talking just like this, and then he turned. He said, "Dame un plato, quiero cocinar." I was like, "Oh shit!" I didn't even know what he said. And I was like, we just said it like effortlessly, like we were just talking English. And I was like, what you say? And he goes, no, we're cooking. I go, you know Spanish? He goes, yeah, I'm learning. You know what I'm saying? I said, and it was one of the most powerful moments of my life. The most powerful moment I've ever had in my whole life is seeing somebody, give somebody an ultimatum and crush their whole spirit without violence. That was the most impactful thing I've ever seen in my life, and it was about a table in prison. But this was like the second most impactful thing I've ever seen in my life, because this guy just did that, and I was like, it changed my whole life.
Yeah.
So when I seen it, and then I said, I want that. I want to do that. And I thought to myself, hey, you know what? I've been learning. I can do this. I know I have the capacity. Because once I had the capacity to learn, then I had my self-worth began to improve,
Sure.
Because, listen, we can walk around like this all the time, right? But inside, a lot of times, for me, I can't speak for everyone. I'm sucking my thumb. You know what I'm saying? But now I'm not, because
Well, Johnny
of
does it
confidence.
every day.
Yeah, well, he does it outwardly. I did it inside. You know what I mean?
And by the way, John, no more Spanish. Johnny can barely speak English.
Yeah, no, he's pretty good, and he got all his hair. Put it in a bag when you get a haircut for me.
Continue.
You know, so when I started to learn Spanish, I started to learn. But from learning, you get self-worth. And after you learn more, after self-worth, then it allowed me to dream big. Like, I started to see things. I started to learn new worlds because I was learning new words. Like, and that like catapulted me into a whole nother level. And whenever I had an issue in prison, right, with like staff or with other people,
Inmates.
now it wasn't like, yo, my man, what's up? What do you want to do? So it was like that in some levels, right? But now it was like, yo, my man, check this out. When we're not going to win anything here.
Right.
Then I began to mediate, you know, disputes between inmates, between different, you know, rival gangs, between different factions of people. You know, then the staff started to see me as an asset almost, because you were like, you know, if there was ever a problem, the guys would say, hey, Johnny, you know this guy, talk to this guy. His guy just did this. You know what I'm saying?
Do you ever find out, would you ever find that who is this person? I don't recognize this more diplomatic guy compared to the guy in the past.
I just think, so, I mean, if you seen the guy 20 years ago at the door, you would say, watch out for this guy.
Oh, you. Okay. What happened?
I gotta do.
Just say it out loud.
Yeah, that makes it most.
That doesn't matter.
Shut that thing off so it's not blinking. It's very distracting.
Just say it, Billy. We're at Dunkin' Donuts, Johnny. This is how we want to make it out. We're just hanging out at Dunkin' Donuts, 3 clowns at Dunkin' Donuts, and you just happen to stumble in for a coffee.
So look. So now, when I started to do this, and I started to, you asked me if
you recognize the new.
Yeah,
the
no,
new
I'm
John.
saying I just think it's an evolution. I just think if I seen the guy 20 years ago at the prison door,
different.
I would have said like, no, guy's trouble. Just stay away from this guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let him crash, let him burn, and then, you know. But I just think that's for me anyway. I think that's all of us. I think we look at ourselves 20 years ago and be like, who is this?
Oh,
clown?
absolutely.
Where did you serve your time, Johnny?
So I was in 12 different federal institutions.
Wow.
In
Really?
27 years.
They just keep on.
Well, I mean, the thing is, sometimes they're good transfers, right? Sometimes your points drop and you get to go to a minimum security, you get to go to a camp, you get to go to a low. Sometimes, you know, you end up getting into, you know, there's a disturbance and you're in the middle of it. And sometimes they put you on a bus and send you to another higher security place because you were involved in a disturbance. So there's a plethora of reasons.
So you had some behavioral issues in the beginning?
Yeah, I'm
early
saying,
on?
so I had two they call shots,
Yeah.
2 incident reports for assaults. So yeah,
Wow. So 12 different locations. You were
12
in.
different institutions I was sentenced to.
That's amazing. What was your opinion on you think was the toughest or the most?
I started at Leavenworth Penitentiary when it was the hot house, when it was probably the toughest
Where is
penitentiary in the
Leavenworth?
country. Leavenworth.
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Leavenworth,
Thank you, John.
Kansas. Leavenworth, Kansas.
So that
There's a federal penitentiary, and then there's a military prison right next to it.
What do they call it? The brig? The military?
The brig, yep. They call it the brig. Yep.
Right.
We had some.
And
guys
are those
from over there.
places, are the brigs rough places, Johnny? I mean,
I can't
if you
speak for
heard-
anybody. I can only speak from my own experience.
Right. I wonder how it is with the military people that go
Well,
there.
I'll tell you one thing. When they misbehaved, they sent them to our prison.
Really?
So
Okay. So then
Give you a-
Leavenworth was the
give you
real
an
deal.
idea.
Yep.
yeah.
So
definitely.
when did you come back to Massachusetts?
I came back to Massachusetts to Devon's to have my hip
Oh,
done.
Devon's,
I
okay.
needed a complete hip replacement.
Really?
So I ended up going to Devon's for that. I ended up getting the hip replacement at Boston Medical Center,
Okay.
BMC.
BMC, yeah.
Shout out to BMC. Great. I'd never had a problem. Amazing.
Well, my ex-wife used to work there for Dr. Copernito. He was the urologist. Go ahead, say something, Johnny. He's just laying there for a joke.
Yeah.
But so Leavenworth, you think was the worst as far as
So I just think
toughest?
in the magnitude of violence
Mm-hmm.
and the propensity for violence, that was it.
Did you serve time with some big names, national names?
And people that you would know, people that you wouldn't know, that were, you know, more. Probably the most prolific inmate I was ever with was a guy named Steve Kessler. He was one of my best friends, and he was from Oregon. He killed a guard escaping from Rocky Butte jail, so they sent him to the feds, and he was, when I talked about that one most, the glaring episode of the most dramatic moment in my life without violence was that moment. A long story short, we were having trouble with one table in the chow hall that was our table. The white people and the islanders sat there, and we had guests that were there, like with us, So we stayed. It was the blacks against everybody else, basically, in the penitentiary.
Right.
Security level matters. So he went over to these. Oh, what happened? Did my thing just go off?
Yeah, mine went off too.
What the heck is going on
Both sides. I hear one on my right.
You hear one ear?
Yeah,
It's on my right ear. My left ear is my bad ear.
That's very weird.
Hold that thought, Johnny.
Keep on talking,
Yeah,
guys.
keep going, right?
It's
Go
still,
ahead.
everybody can still hear you. It's
So
still going
anyway,
on.
what happened was these guys were trying to commandeer a table, and I seen it in the morning, and I was like, "Yo, what are these guys trying to do?" My friend's like, "Oh, just relax. Don't worry about it. We're gonna take care of it. Eat your breakfast. Relax." My friend Steve Kessler was probably the most dangerous. They told me he was the most dangerous federal prisoner in like the history of the federal prisons.
Really?
Congress had closed down Atlanta Penitentiary. They investigated it because of a guy called Casper that was putting a sheet on and killing people. And they always said that Steve Kessler was Casper.
Was it him?
He's dead now.
Okay.
So, anyway, was it him? So they said that Steve Kessler was Casper.
Okay.
Anyway, getting back to this story, there's people sitting down, and there's like they have this. It's a gang. It's a gang. It's a legitimate prison gang, and they're standing around, and there's people sitting down. They're like guarding this table, and my friend Steve sits down. Friend Steve Kessler, and he says to these guys, "Hey, you mind if like me and my friend sit down?" He takes me over there. Of all people, because I'm his right-hand man, like, you know what I mean? So he got me under his wing. Like, he showed me how to run a gambling ticket. There it is right there. Just went back.
Was he
on.
older than you, John?
A lot older than me.
Okay.
He's dead now. He passed away of cancer. Anyway, so he says, "You guys mind if we sit down for 1 second?" And they look at him like a hard guy, like, "What's up?" He goes, "You mind if me and my friend sit down?"
Being a gentleman.
The most dangerous guy you'll ever meet in your whole life.
It's always the way, isn't it?
So he goes, "Hey, listen." He goes, "Guys, I understand wholeheartedly. If my friends were coming to the joint, we need a table. So I get it. I would do the same exact thing as you guys. I get it, 100%. But I just want to let you guys know that there's about 20 or 30 people in this chow hall tonight that are willing to die for this table, okay? So you guys have a good night. Enjoy your dinner, and we'll see you later."
You said this.
I didn't say this.
Oh.
No, when he walked away and I was with him, I'm thinking, I'm going to kill somebody over this table. You know what I mean? But they never sat there again.
Right.
They knew who the guy was. They went around and talked to their people, and they were like, that dude will murder you over that table.
But, John, on a situation like that, I'm sure he was as dangerous as you claim. Wouldn't they have people that could just team up on the guy? Just
sure,
catch
but
him?
we had guys in that chow hall
he had
that night
right.
with
just as
going through the metal detectors with plexiglass knives like this, ready to just murder somebody over a table.
Did you?
Unbeknownst to me, everybody got bags. They're looking. I'm like, what's going on? No, just talk to Steve. What? So just like Kessler's like, will you just relax and eat? Why do you got to make everything such a big deal for? He was the best.
Yeah.
He was like, can't we just walk the track in silence? You just always want to talk.
Were there a lot of brawls, John?
Yeah, of course.
I'm saying,
yeah,
did you witness
yeah.
it? Was it an
so,
everyday?
So here's the thing, bro. I'm saying, you know how life is? You're driving down the street, right? Nothing happens. The one day something happens, you're like, oh, shit, look at that. The same thing in jail. 95% of the days is everybody, yo, what's up, Billy? Hey, Frank, what's up? What are you doing? Hey, let's go want to bang a workout out? Then some days it's quiet. Then you hear people like, yo, and then like you look, and then your friends are like, yo, these guys are DC's about to get into it with Florida.
What are the most common reasons for people to brawl and explosions at the prison?
Think about this for 1 second. Me and you, we like to hang out. We go out on a Friday night. Yo, this guy's the best dude. He's great. Picture being with me 7 days a week. You wake up, we piss next to each other, we shit next to each other, we shower next to each other. I'm waiting for you to get up so I can eat. You know what I mean? It's a postage stamp. Yeah. So the politics of human interaction are different on a postage stamp than they are in the free world.
Yeah.
because you can get away from somebody. You want solitude? You're having a bad day? Go take a break. Go to your house, get away, go get a hotel room. Go hang out for 2 days. Decompress.
Right.
Can't do that in prison.
No.
So that's why it's a powder keg all the time.
Have you been in solitary alone?
So I was in my over a year straight.
What they call it? The
15
shoe?
months. Special housing unit. I had a dude from Tennessee say, I don't know why they call it a shoe. It don't look like a shoe. It look like a building to me. But honest to God, it's a true story too. It's hilarious.
You did a year?
Over a year. In Fort Dix, it was a low.
I need a drink.
We were under investigation for heroin, cell phones, gambling, and steroids.
In the joint.
While
in the
prison.
joint.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and my friend Jay Allen, God rest his soul, he came home and died of an overdose, the poor guy. Great guy. He was like, Johnny, listen, because they were looking to take, I had about 17, 18, almost 20 years in at the time. And they were looking to take like 6 years good time from me, the most they could. I was going to get crushed if they found us guilty of this misconduct. And he was like, I'm going to take it. All they could do is take a couple months from me. I'm going to take it. And I was like, Jay, none of us are doing anything. We're just going to sit tight and not talk to anybody, and we're going to be all right. And we were. You know what I mean?
So I got a question.
Go ahead, Billy.
Sure.
When in your time, you did a year straight in the
Over
shoe.
a year.
So was that when you like kind of knuckled down and started learning everything?
Well, I mean, I was on that. I was kind of on that. That curve had already started for me, right?
Yeah.
And at that time, I was already, like a seasoned convict and a guy that was bridging gaps with people. And I was the guy that you were like, Johnny, man, they're taking this extra thing of rec. They're trying to. All right, let me go talk to the warden. I was the guy that had the direct line. Not obviously because I gave information. I would never do that. And I think the misconception is sometimes that people are close to staff in prison is that staff used to come to me and be like, oh, I just got this memorandum from the investigator saying you shouldn't be here. It's too low security for you. Who are you? Other like staff members would be like, oh, you're Bartolomeo? Well, you're the first person we had a meeting about in the drug program before you got here. And I was like, oh, okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was just, that was the way that staff knew me, right? So, and they were always like that I had a little influence over other inmates. I'm nobody special. People do their own bit. I'm not the toughest guy in jail. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because like he said, you sometimes you could be a tough guy and you get beat up by 20 guys. And then when your friends, they're like, well, I don't know. I didn't know anything was happening. You know what I mean? So it's not that. It's just how you conduct yourself, right? I try to, again, we're in a postage stamp. You can't tell everybody to go fuck themselves. Everybody to go whatever themselves, I guess.
Yes,
I already said it.
yeah.
Cats, toothpaste is out of the tube.
I already did it.
So, you have to find a different way. And this was the building of a different philosophy, right, for me? Because everything was just, I got a gun, I got a knife, I'll punch the guy in the face,
Right.
And then if he, God forbid, he beats me up, I'm going to go there with all my friends and we're really going to hurt him. You might as well just let me win. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but now it's the building of a different philosophy, right? To try to, and at the end of the day, what we know now is it's building relationships, right? It's not repelling people. I mean, you build wealth and not just financial wealth by building relationships, right? So that was this was crescendoing at that time. Like, so I was doing what I was supposed to do in prison. I was learning, I was engaging in, courses. I was taking math courses from colleges. I was enrolled in a college course that the college used to come in. So that was all at that time. So it just.
So it was during the time that you were like locked down where you learned the most stuff as far as
I wouldn't say that, but
No?
I mean, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about perseverance. I learned a lot about getting up every single day when everybody was sleeping. Get my routine in, work out, not showering, only have 3 showers a week, and just get in the in the sink with a little bit of water and get a cup and clean yourself off, then clean the whole floor, then start reading, then do some other activities, structure your day for a full year of being in the shoe for 23 hours a day. So it taught me a lot of perseverance. It taught me a lot about myself. Taught me a lot about my philosophy today is just hang on for one more day. I hung on for 10,000 days straight. You're not going to have to hang on that long.
Right.
For a guy that myself, I'm very claustrophobic. So when I hear these stories about,
I'm-
about the shoe,
listen.
I panic.
Heights,
No, heights.
enclosed areas, I don't like them either.
But how did you do it?
But
for a
here's the
year?
thing: you just got to put one foot in front of the other, because you know what the thing is. If you could cry a river and get out, I would have cried a river. I would. I can't do it. What's it gonna do?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like, you lose your girlfriend and she don't like you anymore. Like, it's over, right? But you're gonna stress over it. But okay, on to the next. Like, don't stress over something that you can't change. Meet it head on and try to find something that could better you, that can, because I mean, it's all about
growth.
overcoming the obstacle, right? Because without, either the obstacle kills you or you overcome it.
We had two other guys on our podcast when we first started before.
He knows one of them.
And you know
Gigi.
Anthony.
Anthony Bucci and Gigi.
Yeah, I know both
Okay,
of
so
them.
both. But we've had two. I mean, but two of them. The two of them I'm talking about is Anthony Bucci and Lou Joe Spag.
Joe Spag.
Joe Spag.
I know
While
Joe
they were
Spag,
in,
too.
while they were in, they one of them wrote a book and the other one figured out what he was going to do.
Cheney Man.
He
Yeah.
turned out to be the Cheney Man. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Great, two great dudes.
Yeah.
They
were
so
great.
the other thing I was going to ask you is what are you doing? What are you doing now besides doing talk shows and stuff? What are you doing?
Yeah, this is a hobby. This ain't paying
what
the
are you,
bills for
what,
sure.
what are you doing
It's
to pay the
LB.
bills these days?
So first and foremost, I'm a recovery coach.
Okay.
I work for Power Recovery,
Okay.
Matty Power's place in Revere, and I just try
You're
to
doing
take
good
care
things.
of try
You're
to take care of people that are fighting against addiction. I'm trying to put them in the best situation. If they need a bed, I can get them a bed and detox. Anybody listening to the show that's struggling, they need a bed, they can call me. I can get them a bed and detox, and I can.
John, could I overcome? Go ahead, Johnny. You want to say something?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, so when you first get into the prison, you're still kind of a little bit wild and
course.
you're reckless a little bit, if you know what I'm saying. So as you got closer to possibly your release date, maybe you said, okay, 2 years. Did you start getting careful? Did you start watching what you did?
Sure, I had a cell phone. I got rid of the cell phone, smashed it in a million pieces. When I found out that that's where 27 Straight came from, the clothing brand. I also have a clothing brand, 27
Yeah, I want
Straight.
to plug that before.
So, I knew I was going to be 27 years, and I kept playing with this thing, 27 STR8, right? Straight with the number. But the 7 was chronological with the 8. And I was like, wow, it looks pretty good. You know what I'm saying? So I never knew what it was going to be. But, my brother Charlie had a couple of fundraisers, a couple of parties for me. And what happened was they never materialized. So he had 2 boxes of shirts up in his office. And it's my office now, my end and his. He was like, go up there and get those shirts and sign them, right? And sell them. So I was drinking a cup of coffee, I'm going to spit them out. And I was like, who's going to buy a signed shirt from me? Come on, it's kind of pretentious, right? And, but I did, and I sold them. You know what I'm saying? And that's where 27 Straight became the clothing brand, because then it was like, this is the original hoodie. These are the hoodies I made. And, I got a line of clothing now, hats, everything, right? But so the first ones were these. And, I was up there with Pete from Salem. He took me up to meet a guy, and he was like, yeah, I'm going to give you this cash price. This is going to be good for you. And I was like, hey. And they were doing this design. Pete was on this computer with him, and I was like, what the hell are these guys doing, And I just said, hey, you know what? Somewhere on there, can you put 27 STR8? And he was like, you know what? I'll put it right here, and then give me your signature. I'll put your signature. Because I had signed things, and I was like, oh, good idea. So I did. And now, it's another thing that's truly humbling is people wearing things with your signature.
on it.
And you see them, people sending you pictures, and all over Instagram. You're on Instagram. You say, oh, yeah, this guy's wearing my shirt. See Justin Beasy on Kiss 108. Oh, he's wearing my High Vis shirt. I mean, tag me in that. Jake Scally, he's got a huge following. Bean Shoot, a huge following, wearing my stuff. It's like, wow.
You just did something with Maddie in the
crazy.
morning, didn't you, John?
Yeah, I was that's what Power Recovery, we were with the kid Justin Beasy. He's on the Billy Costa show.
Oh, Billy Costa. Was
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
Maddie in the
Matty
morning?
retired.
Billy
didn't
Costa.
he? Matty retired.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But
Pretty
it was Billy Costa.
Okay. I got them confused.
Yeah.
No, and it's a remarkable thing, though, when you can adjust to something like that. Because I honestly believe if I was in solitary, I would die of a hyperventilation.
Everybody says, how did you do this, right? How did you think about this? 10,000 days in prison, right? And so And I always tell people this. I always tell people, really think about the gravity and the magnitude of what I'm going to tell you. Picture doing 20 straight years in prison, right? And you're like, oh my God, it's a lifetime. And then having 15 left.
Can't.
Yeah, then picture doing 25, right? And you're like, you did 25 straight years, and now they're like, well, you got 10 left. Yeah. So a lot of times, and you know what? I always tell people what saved me is I'm a cheap guy. I'm frugal, right? So after I worked out that first year and I ate good that first year, I'm like, I can't waste that. I can't lay down now. I mean, because, your first inclination is just grab some dope, right? Learn how to use a needle and just do some dope and sleep your bit away. Like that's the first inclination for people is, how do I mask this? How do I, I'm never getting out of prison, right? Do you think you're ever getting out of prison? You think you're never getting out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that's what I struggled with, right? I struggled with, I'm never going to get out of prison. Why am I doing this?
Most people end up right back in it too when they get out because they don't know what to do with themselves.
I'm the worst case study. The worst case study, though, because I had great friends. I had people that gave me bags of money.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nick Verano called me over his house, took care of me, you know what I'm saying? The guy that never says no to nobody.
Did you grow up with Nick?
Yeah, well, I know Nick my whole life. Yeah. His store, this Victor's Variety, was attached to my grandfather's house.
Yeah, it was funny. His Uncle Vito.
Yeah. So,
Victor.
So, I mean, and then everybody along the way, and not, I mentioned Nick by name because everybody knows him, but I'm saying guys like, that I didn't even know before prison, guys like Tommy Rossi was like, hey, come here, let me give you a few bucks. Like, what do you need? You need something. You put me in his place, you know what I'm saying? Give him a short amount of money for rent, you know what I'm saying? Guys like, a million of them. Help you get a car, help you do this. My friend Mikey Q, that my co-defendant, was like, hey, you never got to do nothing again. Here's money. Don't worry about it. If you need anything, you don't have to do anything. We're all set. I got you. I got some money at the house for you. Here's some money now. Just don't do anything. If you need anything, call me. That's what I had. So
that's fantastic.
Some people don't have a chicken dinner, bro.
Right.
I'm with this kid the other day. He just got out of prison. He's referred to me through the company that I work for. So I start talking to him. I hang out with him. I bring him for breakfast. I get him a pair of sneakers. People that did this for me. So when I see this kid and I see he don't have anything, I get him a pair of sneakers. I give him $50 on a T card. I take him to breakfast. I give him a coffee, give him a hoodie. I'm like, hey, if you need anything, holler at me. I had him on my podcast. And the kid texted me later and he goes, I just want you to know that I'd never, ever had a day like that in my whole life.
Wow. See, that's huge. That's huge.
Imagine that.
But you obviously were worthy for these guys. Like Tommy's a friend, Nicky's a friend.
Sure.
You were obviously worthy of a guy for these guys to come forward.
100%. And that's why that comes to what we all talk about being a solid guy. And, everybody asks me, how do you feel about the rats in your case? And honestly, I feel bad for them. I feel bad that they have to live with themselves like that. And they didn't get the welcome that I got. All they would have had to do was 5-10 years. They would have got the easy route. Mm-hmm. Right. People would have said, hey, you're a stand-up dude, good guy. Hey, get yourself on your feet here,
It is it's an amazing story. Did you ever think, John, to write a book or anything?
So I'm in the process of doing something like that with, the movie Patriots Day with Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Dave Wedge is the author, and that's who I'm working with, is Dave Wedge.
That's great.
This it's fascinating stuff. People love these stories, right, Johnny? We had a guy from New York named Mike Dowd. I spoke to him today. He was the subject of a documentary called The 7-5.
Yeah.
It was the East Brooklyn 75th District, the most violent.
Oh, yeah, the officer.
We had him on, and it was fascinating stuff. One of the best, and you're right there with him as far as your knowledge and the way they speak. And, the knowledge you gain from is it prison? I don't know, where you had this brain somewhere even before prison.
Yeah, I just think that,
developed.
So a lot of times I think we stunt our own growth, right? I'm saying just normal evolution of being just a human being. Sometimes we get stuck in these. You see people that are hurt, mentally ill. They have mental illness. They have certain things they can't overcome. The mind is. You have to listen. Everything for me is just forward, just forward, just forward. Get to the bed tonight. It's all you got to do is get to the bed tonight because tomorrow's probably going to be a better day. And if it's not, just hang on. So that's what I did. That was my whole philosophy.
It's a great, great attitude because Mike is the same way. Because when he told us a story about his mother, and I know you're close to your mom, he actually teared up, sitting right where you are. He teared up. Remember, Johnny? He was talking about his mother when we asked her, did your mom come to the prison to see you? And he said it was a disaster. Remember, Billy? She tried to drag him home, try to take him home.
So my mother had to leave before everybody else so she wouldn't see me leave, And the thing is, I put my mother through hell, you know what I'm saying? Because I was a wild kid, right? And she loved me. She goes, she was my mother. She's the East Boston mother, right? I used to say, Ma, what the? She goes, John, I don't care. She goes, I'll sell the house and everything in it to get you home. I don't care. You know what I mean? That was her. So now my philosophy moving forward, of course, is I wish, I tell about an instance where I got off parole 3.5 years early, and usually they deny you that. You know what I mean? Your first try, they deny you, or they'll just say if they do approve you, which is rare, they'll just say yeah, motion granted. But my judge wrote a 3-page decision about my motion to be free from parole, and she said that she talked about you put the motion in, and this court not only agrees but commends you for the community service that you've done, for your integration into society. And it was I've never had anything like that. I've had everything the worst, so. And I just thought that I wish my mother could have seen that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that would have been like a pivotal moment for my mom, and she would have been like, and we think of our mothers and we think of our fathers in their 50s when they were heroic figures, but they get old, bro. Yeah. And then, it's just not the same. They're not the same people,
Johnny, is that one of your regrets? You missed all those years with your
Of course.
Dad,
I mean,
right?
I just think that, John, when I tell you, and it may seem cold and callous, I don't dwell on anything.
Right.
Because there's nothing I can change.
You can't
So
change
all
it.
I do is I move forward. But now what I do is I try to do one thing a day to make my mother proud. If I could do one thing a day where I said, you know what? My mother would be proud I did
Mom
that.
would like this.
You know what I mean? So if I could do that once a day,
That's a great attitude.
that's me paying penance, but I can't go back and change the past about anything, but the same thing that make you laugh will make you cry too. So when my brother Ronnie died, he was a young kid. He was 39 years old and he died. I had to juxtapose this situation where I murdered somebody that was somebody's brother and somebody's son. And I seen what it did to my family, my brother's death, and my mother was destroyed by it. I was distraught. I was in prison, toughest guy on the planet, walked to the shower. What's up? What's going on? Hey, John, you all right? Yeah, I'm good, babe. Yeah, I'm good. Go in the shower and just cry. I turned the water on and cry. That's what I would do. So that was my place to just, it felt like the ground was sucking me in. I was like, oh, God, I can't even do this no more. I can't go to the funeral. My brother's dead. He's my best friend. I thought it was going to be my mother. At least that would have made sense at the time. Right. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And, so that was, I had to put these situations side by side that I engineered these failings in somebody's brother and somebody's mother. So it made me instantly contrite about this thing I wore as a badge of honor.
Right.
Right? Oh, I'm a killer. I'm a killer. You know what I'm saying? What are you? You ain't killed nobody. You know what I mean? But now I had to put these failings into perspective of this new philosophy because, we learn every day, right? And then we start, filtering this information that we get in and we start saying, wait a minute, hold on. This doesn't compute like it used to. Wait a minute, this is something different here. You know what I'm saying? And then, for me, I don't lie to myself, and I don't move on hypotheticals. I don't do anything hypothetical situation. It's the real and the raw and the right now. This is the way it is. So, and I think that served me well, though. So, and I don't dwell on things. Listen, do I have regret about it? I mean, you would have to be. I don't know what you would have to be to say I didn't regret that. Yeah, I wish I could have all my people back and be cool, but I mean I can't. So you know what? I'm gonna compartmentalize all that. I'm gonna go to sleep because I need to have my sleep to have energy to try to live longer and to try to do what I can in this world to make it better for the people that I come across because I can't touch everybody.
Right. Well, they call me the Monsignor for this next question because while you were in, what part did God have in your life?
So I would say that I preface everything with this, and I use that phrase a lot, preface, right? But I do preface it with this. Religion is for people who are scared to go to hell, and spirituality is for people who already been there. My personal philosophy. And I believe that I live with a higher power, and that higher power is my mother and father and my brother that are dead. So they are beings to me that are greater than myself. The politics of religion, it's just like the debate we had about landing on the moon. There's certain aspects to different parts of it. I'm more spiritual than anything because I feel things deeply and I see things that make me think of things, that make me see things. Like everything is interconnected for me. So I believe that I'm not a big God guy. I go to church on Sundays. I go with Frankie down the North End. I'll go to church. Yeah. And I say that's a place I go visit my mother because she was very religious.
I was just going to ask you that,
yeah,
John.
Very, very religious. And
Catholic?
That's a place I can go where I feel close to her. But so the opinion that you're looking for is still developing.
I'm not looking. I just want to see where you were at. That's all. That's what I was curious about. That's
good.
Good. I'm glad that it's developing.
I just want to say I have been so captivated by you sitting here talking more than any other guest we've had.
I appreciate that.
on this, and I hope that you should be going into high schools, colleges.
I'd like to do that. I'd love to do that.
You on the speakers, you got to get into the speakers because you're captivating, and what you've done with your life, and how you addressed everything, and how you dealt with everything is just absolutely
The vocal
amazing.
articulation.
Wait. You're interrupting
All right.
me.
I did it once tonight.
No,
Every week
done it about 5 times.
No, once.
Yeah. Billy.
Off my ass tonight.
Sir, I only had one beer. I don't know how I could be blowing a 6 point. I had one beer. Did you have more than one bit? No, I had one beer.
Johnny, he was just waiting. Got finished.
No, but then, I really want to say this, Johnny, and we've been doing this for a few months now.
6 months.
6 months. Captivating.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And I just love your perspective and everything, and how you've dealt with everything. And I think you could really help so many people.
No, definitely, and
that are struggling.
It's definitely on the table. And I talked to my probation officer. Like everybody along the whole route with me has been great. You know what I mean? I'm not one of these guys that come back and say, these people are out to get me. I went and seen these people after I got convicted in a federal court of stuff that I did. I wasn't standing on the corner in a 3-piece suit and they gaffled the wrong guy and I'm like, it wasn't me. You know what I mean? So, I have a lot of respect for people that are in, federal government and, in corrections. It's a difficult job. It's a behemoth, and I'm sure there's some people that don't belong in that area.
Right.
Because they're just not good people for that.
Right.
But the majority of people are great people. And when you try to help yourself, people will go to bat for you. They'll try to help you too.
100%.
You can't just say, the system is so out to get me. They're trying to do this. They're trying to do that. They're doing this.
The victim.
Yeah, so just thing is fight for yourself.
Johnny, if you could look out there and give advice to any kids, anybody, what would you say?
First and foremost, if you're struggling with anything, just all you have to do is hang on. There's help out there for people. And if there's not, in this age of, oh, you can't say this, you can't say that, just be strong. Just
going to have a few beers. So I said to him, well, that's like rearranging the furniture.
And I'm a purist in drugs, but
the way get off of it.
The way it was explained to me is, here's a person, for instance, that's not out stealing, he's not out robbing, he can get a job, and he's on a maintenance drug. So it makes sense to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the smartest guy in the whole world, but I wouldn't do anything the way that I've done it because I just crash my head through walls. And even today, if it hurts, I don't care. I just go through it. I walk through it. I work through anything. I don't stop. I think forward motion for me is the prescription.
I got to tell you something, Johnny. You and Mike Dowd are the two guys that prevented Johnny and I from fighting because we fight every time we're doing this. Every Monday night we're going at it because he still thinks that 22-year-old kid killed Kirk.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Hey, let's deny it, Johnny. You know you do.
I don't want to talk to you.
No, but seriously, I'm sorry, Billy. Go ahead.
I didn't say anything.
I wanted to ask Johnny, do you think I interrupted all night tonight? Because they say it every Monday I interrupt.
I'll
Billy,
be the
You know what?
referee.
Hold on. Let me just say, I'll just say this. You're the biggest personality here. That's all.
Not
I'll
when
say.
you're here, buddy. Billy, no, he's the biggest critic. Billy would always let me know.
Without a doubt, it was all Johnny.
No, I was good then.
Yeah, you did.
I'm
good.
like,
You
you know,
did
I'm
good.
like,
you,
like a
you
puppy.
you did interrupt him once though.
Well,
So you know what it is? I think when you speak too, I mean, I just think like people that come on podcasts, and I never like to say that, oh, I'm really good at this, because I had somebody on me and my friend Bean Shooter's podcast, right? And he told me, listen, I do this, I'm good at it, and it was the worst show we ever had. So I try to never say that I'm really good at this, you know what I mean?
You're
so,
excellent at it.
I mean, I appreciate that.
Excellent.
I just, you know what it is? I never think about anything. I just sit down and I just try
well,
to.
Johnny, the reason why I'm saying this is because all three of us, I've been performing for 33 years. Johnny's been doing 50 years. Billy, 60 years, comedian, singer. And that's when I met you in the summertime at the feast.
Right.
You were at the St. Anthony's.
100%.
Not St. Anthony, Della Cava.
Della Cava.
Yeah,
Yep, 'cause I had the table
that's
out
the
there.
first night I met you, and I recognized you, and I said, I know you.
Yeah.
And then we just, we knew a lot of the same
That's
people.
another thing, you know, the Instagram following is crazy, right? I have almost 25,000 followers on Instagram, and, you know, it's just, all it is me going, like, taking a walk, going, you know, like that. It's not like no scripted thing. It
doesn't
just
matter.
Right,
It's
right.
positive.
See,
it's
that's
positive.
That's what's good about this show is if you can interact with people, it's like what we said. It's like we're at Dunkin' Donuts. We're just talking.
Three clowns
it.
sitting
and
around.
it just flows, and that's one of the things that I love about this. I had some clown come on and say, write a comment. This page is garbage. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
It's not. Listen, you know what I tell people? It's not for everybody.
Right.
And you know what I tell people? I tell people, listen, my man, I wish in my lifetime I had your spare time. I can't even like all my friend stuff. Forget about dislike somebody I don't even know.
Right.
Like,
right.
God bless you.
Exactly.
You
You
know
got
what I
nothing
mean?
better to do than.
God bless
Then
you.
there was another one. There's another one too. He says, "Who dresses these guys?" I said, and I went and I looked at him. I said, "The same guy that made your friggin' wig."
That was the one. That was the one on the wharf, right?
The wharf, yeah.
They were making fun of
There
us
was
singing.
160,000 views on this thing that we
No
were
more,
saying.
220,000.
Okay, 20. And this guy saying, "Who dresses them?" I went and I had a look at him, and this guy had the worst rug on his
Listen,
head.
zero followers. They
Yeah.
got zero. They don't even have a picture.
Yeah,
It's a fake
yeah.
picture.
That's
just the way
exactly.
it is.
Those are the ones that are most critical.
People, you know, people just love to hate. And
Absolutely.
listen, here's the thing. The bottom line is me, the way I feel about everybody is I want to see everybody do good. Number one is I always tell people, thank God my friends are doing better than me, because if I was doing the best out of all my friends, we'd be in a lot of trouble.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
But the way you adjusted after all that time is remarkable. And we can't get 27 years of his life or in the prison in 1 hour. Like Michael Dowd had a 20-year
Yeah.
career, and we couldn't get all of that in 1 hour. And that's why will you come back again, John?
definitely.
We
come
didn't even scratch the surface.
Not
you
even
know what?
scratch.
It's so
scratch
for
the
me.
surface.
I always said, like, the case manager, because I was cool with these people, and she was like, "What do you think it's going to be like when you get out?" And you know what I used to say all the time? Seamless integration, because I had a furlough after 21 and a half years, and I was married at the time. Part of my story is I was married twice and divorced twice to the same woman, a girl, Natalie, from South Philly, and I had a furlough to be transferred from one prison to the next, right? And that almost unheard of. I got lucky because a new warden came in, new case manager, and they were like, "We ain't paying for you to go. You're going to take a bus to go there." But I bypassed the bus, had my wife come and get me, and we hung out. But after 21 and a half years in prison, they gave me taxi money and opened the door and let me go out.
Wow.
Right?
On a furlough?
And everybody was like, you're going to be so shell-shocked. It's so different. Things are so fast. Wait till you see it. Bro, I walked out of prison, it was like I was never in prison in my life. I walked out for 2 minutes. I was in the back of the taxi shooting the shit with the taxi driver. Yo, we give him a $20 tip. What's up, my man? Yeah. No, I'm not even going there. Drop me off right here. There's a Dunkin' Donuts. Went into the Dunkin' Donuts, got a black hazelnut hot. I was like, here, honey. I gave her a $20 bill, and she was like, your change. I was like, it's the best day of my life. You're about to have a good day, too. She was like, oh, my God, a big tip like that. Oh, my God.
But
Have
that's a
great
natural
day.
gift, though, John. Not everybody can do that, what you just said.
Yeah, but you know what the thing is? When I got back to prison, that's when I was shell-shocked.
Yeah.
Out in the world, that's where I belonged. I never belonged in prison. I'm not a guy. I'm not like one of them guys. I'm not a prison guy.
Right.
I just happen to be able to adapt to my surroundings. You know what I mean? And don't forget, like, people asked what I miss most about being in prison, and anybody would think it's food, sex, right? None of that. Although I did have a furlough with my wife and we ended up being together. And I just want to let you know, I'm going to have to brag about myself, that when I called her up the next day after we were together for 18 hours and I went back to prison and I called her up and she says, I don't feel like I got into a car accident. I feel like I got into 2 of them. So I trained for that. I did my job.
Johnny had a joke about a month ago about the conjugal visits, Johnny.
Oh yeah.
We never had them. We didn't have them in the feds.
Yeah, Mark David Chapman, the guy that.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Killed John Lennon.
He gets 12 conjugal visits a year.
Jesus.
I'm like, Jesus, for me to get laid, I got to go rob a bank now.
Imagine he gets and he's making use of all of them,
Yeah.
right? So, but my point to you is that it was very much a seamless integration for me, and bro, I had people that were right there. My friend Leo Farmer, who's a judge right now, right? He was a defense lawyer. He opened up his house to me. I went and lived with him, a judge.
Wow.
Okay? And now, not only a judge, okay, you're a judge, but now me, you want to come live I live alone. You want to come live with me? Here, brother. Here, take this money. Get it like a Holiday Inn. Do your thing. You can't live with me.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, right?
Yeah.
He had to talk to his wife and say, yeah, this guy that was a friend of mine for a long time, he just got out of jail. He's in 27 years. He's coming to live with us. Then tell your 2 daughters and your 2 sons.
Right.
What a family. Remarkable.
See, that's the thing. But your attitude regarding it all is the reason why it's so good. I mean, everything is positive. Everything, when you hit the ground running because you had the attitude you kept for those years.
Yeah.
Was you were going to keep moving forward.
100%.
And that needs to be passed on. Like Johnny said, these kids have no clue.
Yeah.
They'd rather sit in front of a TV
Yeah.
with a remote control playing,
Yeah.
swearing at a television
Yeah.
because they can't play the game right.
No.
Rather than doing what you're
So
saying.
we don't understand that because we didn't grow up like that. You know what I mean? So I think there's a divide there as well. So all the population has is what they know, right? So when you go to Colombia, I travel to Colombia a lot, and everybody's like, oh, you go for the girls and stuff. Yeah, the women are beautiful there, and I do go for that. I'm a single man, right?
Yeah.
I don't have any children, so yes, I have a lot of girlfriends in Colombia that I know that are great.
Nothing
people.
wrong with that.
Nothing at all, right?
Take Joey with
But
you.
also, the last time I went to Colombia during Christmas time, I went with a church, and we went to a place called La Sierra in the mountains, right? And we fed 1,000 kids and gave 1,000 kids toys right
huge.
before Christmas. And you know what the thing is?
Yeah.
They did more for me than I did for them.
Imagine. See, you can't beat that.
This
stuff.
is remarkable stuff, John. And if you want, John, why don't you leave? We're going to stay here. You have
I won't let them do that to you.
you have derailed our whole argument on Monday
I will
night.
not let him do
And
that.
all day long, he's been texting me. He goes, I can't wait to get
I
you
know, I'm
tonight.
gonna get you.
I said, no, we got a guest tonight.
Don't
but-
leave an opening.
Johnny, can you come back seriously?
Absolutely.
You will definitely come back.
Definitely
Because
come
I'm going to
back.
call. Now I got your number.
I know.
And he's
you
a
tell
hug.
Nick-
Oh, he's a pain in the ass.
Did you tell Nick and
Johnny.
Tommy you were here? So they're good.
No, Nick's in Florida.
Okay.
I'll tell Nick.
I know Tommy's a dear friend.
Tommy's the best.
I got to be honest with you. This was it was right up there with Dowd. I mean, the stories,
appreciate that.
and I think it's because people are fascinated with the stories that you could tell and he could tell.
Yeah.
And we had Jidge on too back in September, but we were just starting.
Yeah.
Jidge was like our first guest.
Yeah.
And so we were a little nervous because we're talking about the feds and
Gigi.
Yeah, we were talking.
Listen, he'd be like this and walk in the prison yard. He put tinfoil in his cells, so they couldn't track him.
Yeah.
Really? Well, we had him on in September.
The best.
We started in
The
September.
best. I'll tell you what Gigi did. I had a fight in the chow hall with a black dude, started a big race riot in Lee County Penitentiary, a high security penitentiary. And, we had seating arrangements. Everybody knew I was right. The guy was a wild card. He was really suffered from mental illness and just ended up being just a bad situation and a bad day. So they locked me up immediately, and I was in the hole for like 8 months for that one. And I was, so 8 months for that one. That was a kill. They were going to transfer me. But Gigi went to every crew in the prison, and he was like, yo, but you're my homeboy Johnny Bart. You was in Leavenworth with him, right? So I've been in other places with a lot of people in the prison system. It's a small system. And everybody was agreeing. They were like, yeah, Johnny did the right thing. If I was him, I would have did the same thing. Blacks, whites, Spanish, everybody. So they ended up getting me out of the hole. And Gigi was kind of instrumental in doing that. So
yeah,
shout out to Gigi.
Yeah, if he's watching, I was with him Saturday night.
He wouldn't mention nobody's name. He was like, this guy, he put the glass on. He goes, this guy was the rat. This guy, that guy.
When he was on in September, we were just starting, so we weren't as fluent as we are now. And right now, even John's starting to sundown right now because it's after 8 o'clock.
Hey, listen, I'm with you. I'm ready to go. I'm just past my fucking bedtime here. I don't even want to be out after 6.
Johnny, I gotta be honest. This was great. We're gonna make sometime over the summertime, maybe when when is the book gonna be coming?
We're just in the beginning.
All right. Well,
stages
we'll
of that.
keep in touch.
So
we'll probably see you in the north end this summer.
Definitely, 100%.
Absolutely.
That's
Billy,
my
take it
hangout.
home. Johnny, thank you so much.
My
Appreciate
man.
it, buddy.
My pleasure,
Yeah,
my
absolutely.
pleasure, my
We are
pleasure.
so glad that you.
We could stay another hour easily, but
We
like
could
I said,
easily do another hour, but guys, we have Straight Up Talk Boston. We thank you so much for tuning in. Our great guest, Johnny Bart, tonight was just absolutely phenomenal. But I just want to let you know, we're live on YouTube every Monday night at 7 o'clock. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe. And if you take a screenshot of that subscription and send it to me in my inbox on Facebook with your address and your shirt size, make sure you put your name on there, obviously. And I will send you a free Straight Up Talk Boston t-shirt. So please do that as soon as you can. We love you so much. God bless you for tuning in. We are Straight Up Talk Boston. God bless you. We're out of here.
my eyes are gone.
Almost out of here.
Put your show. Yeah, that's it.
It does it every time.
Okay, just cut it.